The Last Cradle. The Rise of the White Lion. Have you ever wondered what would happen if the most underestimated race in the galaxy, the one everyone scorned, one day just said, enough? And what if that race, instead of seeking revenge, decided to use its strength to protect the weakest? Prepare for a story where courage isn't found in destruction, but in relentless compassion. The Cathar invasion fleet was a living nightmare, a dark stain against the vibrant Orion Nebula, its unstoppable advance leaving a trail of extinguished stars and desolate worlds. Centuries of tyrannical expansion had forged the Cathar Empire into an unshakable force, feared by all the lesser races in the galaxy. They were the absolute masters, and their word was law or annihilation. Now, their target was Xylos, home to the peaceful ZY-Lian, an ethereal civilization of light and sound beings, whose crystal songs echoed the very history of the Milky Way. The ZY-Lian knew no war. Their defense consisted only of the fragile beauty of their existence, a vulnerability the Cathar were determined to exploit to the very end. Yet, in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, where the stars were young and stubborn, a new power had emerged. Humans, once confined to a small solar system, had expanded with astonishing speed, driven not only by curiosity but by a collective memory of oppression. They remembered the Great Quarantine, when they were seen as primitive and dangerous, monitored and scorned by the superior races. They remembered the condescension with which their first attempts at contact were met, the cold laughter when they asked to join the galactic community. Weak, emotional, naive, the alien emissaries would say. But humans had persevered, forged bonds where others saw only barriers, and now they were a force to be reckoned with. A force that observed the massacre on Xylos with growing fury. Dr. Ilara Kaulskar, one of the brightest minds in human galactic diplomacy and the granddaughter of one of the first ambassadors to face alien disdain, watched the images of the devastation. "They are hunting the ZY-Lian like cattle," she murmured, her voice laden with pain, more to herself than to Admiral Marek Novak, a man of few words but iron determination. Marek clenched his fist. "Our nearest patrols are 6 jump drives away, Ilara. If we act, it will be a direct declaration of war against the Cathar Empire. The entire galaxy could turn against us." Ilara turned to him, her blue eyes flashing. "They already have, Admiral. The Cathar Council refused all our attempts at mediation. They mock our weakness for seeking peace. They see compassion as a disease, a weakness to be exploited. But we know that compassion is our greatest strength. It's what made us survive. It's what will make us win." "So, what do we do, Doctor?" Marek asked, a furrow of decision creasing his brow. "We show them what humanity is made of, Admiral," Ilara replied, her voice steady. "We show them that we are no longer the naive ones. That those who scorn the weak will eventually encounter a white lion in their path." The decision was swift and unanimous. The joint human defense fleet, composed of ships that were the synthesis of years of ingenuity and learning, altered its course. The colossal Husaria-class frigates, with their pulsing energy shields and plasma cannons that seemed to swallow starlight, were accompanied by squadrons of Jastazab fighters, agile and deadly. The silence before the battle was almost deafening, broken only by the murmurs of engineers and the calm readings of navigators. When the human fleet emerged from warp space on the outskirts of Xylos, the sight was a hellish nightmare. Cathar ships bombarded the planet's surface, while transports descended to collect what remained of the ZY-Lian. The sounds, once vibrant with songs, were now cries of agony. "Admiral, the Cathar fleet is massive. They have over 500 warships in the system," an officer reported, his voice trembling. Marek smiled coldly, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "They always count quantity. We count quality. Lieutenant. Transmit to them, this is the Human Federation. You have violated the fundamental principles of civilized existence. Retreat immediately and release the prisoners, or face the wrath of a race that knows what it is to be underestimated. Human patience has run out." The Cathar response was an explosion of lasers and missiles, a guttural laugh in their communications. They had underestimated humans once again. "Full attack," Marek ordered, his voice calm and firm, but with an intensity that reverberated through the command bridge. "Show them what happens when you step on the weak." The ensuing battle went down in galactic history as the Xylos episode, or, as some Cathar would call it, the Human Inferno. Human ships, designed to endure and counterattack, plunged into the Cathar formation. The Cathar, accustomed to adversaries who fled or surrendered, were shocked by the ferocity and unpredictable tactics. The Huzarias absorbed enemy fire with their shields, turning alien projectiles into showers of harmless sparks, while their plasma cannons tore through Cathar hulls with terrifying efficiency. The Jastasab fighters maneuvered with an agility that defied physics, turning enemy formations into stardust. Humans fought with a ferocity born of a collective memory. Every missile launched, every shot fired, echoed the frustration of centuries of disdain. They were not merely defending the ZY-Lian, they were defending the right of all races to exist, the dignity of those once considered weak. The shock was even greater for the Cathar when the human fleet adopted unconventional tactics for an annihilation conflict. Instead of simply destroying, human ships focused on disabling the jump drives of enemy transports, preventing their escape with captured ZY-Lian. "We didn't come to simply kill," Marek had instructed. "We came to save." Boarding parties stormed the Cathar ships, not to slaughter, but to liberate the prisoners, fighting the aliens with surgical precision, freeing the ZY-Lian from the dark holds. Amidst the chaos, the Cathar flagship, the Fist of Obsidian, attempted one last desperate attack. But the Sovereign of Poland, Marek's flagship, intercepted the attack with a daring maneuver, flanking the Cathar giant and unleashing a concentrated barrage that disabled its propulsion and weapon systems. The Fist of Obsidian drifted aimlessly, a helpless monstrosity. "Admiral, the Fist of Obsidian is disabled," the communications officer reported, a note of surprise in his voice. Marek nodded. "Leave it. Let the surviving Cathar transmit the message. Humanity will not tolerate tyranny. Xylos is under the protection of the Human Federation. Any further aggression will be met with full force. This is just the beginning." The Cathar fleet, fragmented and demoralized, began to retreat, its burning ships dotting space, a shadow of its former self. The Battle of Xylos was over, but the war against Cathar tyranny had only just begun. However, on Xylos, the few remaining ZY-Lian emerged from their hiding places, their songs now tinged with a new emotion, hope. They had been saved by a race that, ironically, had been treated with the same scorn as themselves. The message from Xylos echoed throughout the galaxy. The lesser races, previously cowed by the Cathar Empire, looked upon humanity with a mixture of awe and admiration. The Cathar, in turn, were furious, but also apprehensive. They had scorned humanity, believing in their own unquestionable superiority. But humanity, through an act of relentless compassion and an undeniable display of strength, had proven that the value of a race is not measured by the number of systems it conquers, but by the courage of its ideals. And, in a universe that had always underestimated them, humans finally found their place, not merely as survivors, but as protectors of the defenseless. The galaxy would never be the same. And there you have it, folks at MS XENOVA HFY. What did you think of this epic story of human compassion and strength? Hit that like button if you also believe humanity is incredible, and leave a comment below with your favorite part or what kind of HFY stories you'd like to see next. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next adventure.